They laughed when you fell. They gathered like scavengers, not to help, not to offer a hand, but to feast on the spectacle of your suffering. Every stumble, every wound, every moment of struggle was fuel for their amusement. They spoke in whispers, coated with venom, weaving stories about your downfall as if it were entertainment. It made them feel superior, made their own lives seem less hollow. They reveled in the illusion that you were beneath them, that you had failed, that you would never rise again. But they misunderstood. They mistook your silence for surrender, your wounds for weakness, your suffering for defeat. They failed to grasp the nature of those forged in fire. Pain is not the end. It is the beginning. You must never forget the sound of their laughter, the way they mocked you, the way they dismissed you, the way they grinned at your misfortune, as if it was their victory. They never expected you to remember. They assumed you would be too broken, too ashamed, too lost in your own struggle to take note of their cruelty. But you did. Every word, every smirk, every moment they delighted in your suffering has been burned into your mind, not as a source of resentment, but as a reminder of who they truly are, a reminder of what they did when you were at your lowest, a reminder that the world is full of those who thrive on the failure of others because they have no victories of their own. They never offered help. Not once did they reach out. Not once did they extend a hand. Not once did they show concern. Instead, they stood at a distance, watching, waiting, hoping to see you break beyond repair. It was never about you. It was about them, about their need to see someone struggle so they could feel secure in their own mediocrity. But now, as you rise from the depths they left you in, something shifts. Their laughter fades into silence. Their arrogance turns to uncertainty. Because the one they mocked, the one they counted out, the one they celebrated as broken, is standing tall again. And this time, there is no going back. Their mistake was thinking pain would destroy you, that it would shatter you into something unrecognizable, something weak, something easy to forget. But pain does not break men like you. It transforms them. Pain strips away the illusions, burns away the unnecessary, sharpens the soul until all that remains is something pure, something unshakable, something unstoppable. They laughed at your suffering, never realizing they were watching the birth of something far beyond their understanding. Because pain, when faced with unrelenting will, does not cripple, it forges. Now they shift uncomfortably in your presence. They do not laugh anymore. They avoid your gaze, unsure of what they see, unsure of what they unleashed. The very sight of you reminds them of their own weakness, their own cowardice, their own inability to withstand the fires you walk through. And that, more than anything, terrifies them. Because your existence is proof that suffering is not the end. That what they feared most, the return of the one they abandoned, is now a reality. They celebrated too soon. They wrote you off too early. And now, as they stand before the consequence of their cruelty, they realize their mistake. But you have no interest in vengeance. There is no need for retribution, no need for petty revenge. They are not worth it. They never were. Their punishment is their own existence, the realization that they wasted their time mocking a man they could never break, a man who has now surpassed them in every way. Your success, your strength, your very presence is a wound they will never heal from. Every step you take forward, every victory you claim, Every ounce of power you gain is a reminder that they failed, not you. They will try to rewrite history. They will act as if they were always on your side, as if they believed in you all along. They will reach for the scraps of your success, hoping to attach themselves to something they once ridiculed. But you remember. You remember the way they turned their backs, the way they whispered, the way they reveled in your suffering. And you will not forget. You will not be fooled. The past cannot be rewritten, and the weak do not deserve a place in the presence of the strong. You do not seek their approval. You do not need their validation. You have risen beyond the world they live in, beyond their limitations, beyond their small minds and shallow judgments. They remain trapped in the cycle of mediocrity, while you have transcended it. They will watch you ascend, helpless, unable to touch what they once dismissed as broken. Let them watch. Let them drown in their own insignificance. They had their chance to stand beside you. Now, they can only look up from below. Never forget what they did. Never forget what they said. Never forget the way they laughed at your pain. Not because you seek revenge, but because you must remember what the world truly is. They come back when they feel the shift, when they sense your power returning, when they realize they no longer have control, when they see the version of you that no longer tolerates their poison. They never return because they have changed. They return because you have. They return because they can no longer feed off your weakness, because the easy supply of your suffering has been cut off. And so, they attempt to slither back in, disguising their re-entry as redemption, painting their motives with empty words of apology, carefully choosing phrases that sound like growth, but reek of manipulation. They do not deserve re-entry. This is not a reconciliation. This is a test. The universe is watching, waiting to see if you have truly learned, if you will break, if you will allow yourself to be undone by the very forces that once tried to destroy you. Toxic people do not change. They adapt. They shapeshift. They reinvent themselves, not to become better, but to find new ways to reattach themselves to you. They take note of your evolution, of the armor you have built, of the way you no longer respond to their usual tricks. And so, they change their approach, appearing softer, wiser, more aware, but their core remains rotten, their nature unchanged. They do not seek to uplift. They seek to regain control. They want to re-enter your life, not because they regret what they did, but because they regret losing access to you. Do not mistake their desperation for sincerity. Do not mistake their longing for love. Love does not return only when it has something to gain. The universe will not let you ascend without resistance. There's always a final trial, a moment where the past reaches out, grasping, pulling, pleading for another chance. This is where most people fail. They mistake the return of toxic souls as fate, as a sign that the story is unfinished. They convince themselves that maybe, just maybe, time has healed what was once broken. But this is not destiny. This is temptation. This is a test of discipline, a test of whether you will protect what you have built or hand it back to the very people who tried to burn it to the ground. You must see this for what it is, an opportunity to prove that you are no longer the person who tolerated them. They will play the long game. If you do not accept them immediately, they will linger, waiting for cracks to form in your armor, for doubt to creep into your mind, They will test the boundaries, pushing ever so slightly, searching for weaknesses, for moments of loneliness, for signs that your resolve is thinning. Do not let them in. Do not answer their messages. Do not entertain their sob stories. Do not give them a sliver of hope that they can reclaim the place they lost. This is the moment where you must be ruthless, not out of spite, not out of hatred, but out of self-respect. Because the second you open the door, even just a little, they will wedge themselves back into your life and resume the cycle you fought so hard to escape. Toxic people do not seek peace. They seek control. They do not miss you. They miss their ability to manipulate you. They miss the version of you who doubted yourself, who tolerated their abuse, who made excuses for their behavior. They miss the old you, the one they could twist and shape to their liking. But that version of you no longer exists. And now, they are desperate, not for you, for power, for validation, for the comfort of knowing they still have a hold on you. But they do not, and they never will again. Your strength is not in walking away. It is in never looking back. It is in refusing to grant them the closure they crave, in letting them sit in the discomfort of their own irrelevance. They once feasted on your suffering, and now they starve in your absence. That is justice. That is the natural order being restored. They will rage. They will guilt trip. They will call you cold, unfeeling, unforgiving. Let them. Let them drown in their own inability to undo what they have done. Their regret does not entitle them to your presence. Their sadness does not warrant your sacrifice. Their return is not a second chance. It is a reminder of why you left. There will be moments of weakness. The mind plays cruel tricks, distorting memories, making you recall the good while erasing the bad. You will wonder if maybe you were too harsh, if maybe they have truly changed, if maybe this time will be different. But ask yourself, what did they do when they had you? Did they cherish you? Did they protect you? Did they build you up? Or did they drain you, break you, manipulate you until there was nothing left? The answer has always been there. It has never changed, and it never will. You owe them nothing. Not a response, not an explanation, not a final conversation. The closure they seek is the consequence they earned. And if you ever feel tempted to entertain their re-entry, remember this: they will never stop being who they are.